I think you all already know what time it is. It's swapping time. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to another Rise of Kingdoms gameplay episode from your very own Shappy Gaming. If you're new to the channel, my name's Shappy. I'm a sponsored Rise of Kingdoms content creator, and today we are talking about the legendary commander swap event. Now, I'm sure you've seen tons of videos on this. So what we're going to be covering today is which commanders I'm swapping for, why I'm swapping for them, some of the best methods to use as part of this swap, some things to look out for, and what my new 5-March setup is going to be as a consequence of this swap. So with that, let's jump into it. First things first, let's talk about who I'm swapping for, and that's Ragnar Lodbrok. But not this one. I am swapping for Ragnar Prime because I think that Ragnar Prime has so much potential for our playstyle and for how we're planning on using everything. So let's go in here and let's grab our commander that we're going to be swapping for him. Now I have a few options. I can do someone like Gilgamesh, who I invested in, who I think is completely inviable in the game at this point, or I can do someone like El Cid. And I'm actually going to be doing El Cid because El Cid is a legendary gold key commander, which means I can remax him without much difficulty at all. Whereas Gilgamesh, if I ever decide I want to remax him, I really can't. And I'm probably going to swap him anyways, but I'm going to start with El Cid. And of course, we're going to do El Cid with Ragnar Lodbrok. And the preview says my cost is only going to be 12 tickets, which is spectacular. In fact, I'm getting all of my swaps for gems. I'm not having to spend any money on these swaps. And let me tell you how that works for me. So if we go over here, one of the things you'll notice, and I shared this mail on my YouTube channel, but here is how the ticket prices work. If you are swapping a 555 commander for a 100 commander, it's going to cost you 120 tickets. If it's a 200, 300, 400, you need to unlock all 4 skills. Just unlock them, right? Get the commander to level 30 or 40 and unlock those skills in order to decrease your cost. You should never, ever, ever be spending 120 tickets for your swap. You don't need to. As soon as you unlock those skills, then you can get into an interesting spot where if you're swapping a expertise commander for a 1111 commander, aka just unlocked all the skills, or 211, 311, 411, it makes no difference, it's going to cost you 72 tickets. That's really important because if you're looking at swapping for Arthur, which I recommend doing, Arthur is pairing best with Ho Chi Bing in the field right now, and that is probably going to be the best cavalry march in Rise of Kingdoms, period, point blank, end of story. You might want to get him to 1111 or 2111 if you just bought his bundle outright. Yes, you will be able to swap Arthur even if you're a free-to-play. I know a lot of people are freaking out for it, but you can do it. You just have to wait until the last day, and then you can claim your Arthur and swap for him. Now, there are some lower tiers that you can do here. You can swap an expertise commander for a 5111 for only 36 tickets. So if you know one of your swaps is going to be exceptionally expensive, right? Let's say it's going to be 72 tickets. You obviously can't do a second 72 ticket swap without spending money. So the way you can do this is you can just bring that commander to 5111. And that investment of 5111 is super small. I'll pop it up on the right side of the screen so you can see exactly what the investment is for each legendary commander to get him or her to a particular tier. Last but not least, and this one I'm iffy on, is going to be 555 expertise for 5511. And this is why my Ragnar swap is so cheap, because when they released Ragnar, they had this event where they said, put 200 heads into Ragnar, we'll give you a bunch of gold heads and equipment and stuff for free. And I did that because I thought it made sense and I knew Ragnar was meta. Last but not least, you can do some 2-ticket swaps to just expertise commanders. And this is that 5551 commander. So let's say you've been waiting on Joan and you have her at 5515. And you're like, you know what? I just want to max her. You can do that for only 2 tickets, and that is a great, great deal. the last one, 555 to 555. Just don't do it. You don't need to do that. So that is my 2 cents here as to how this is going to work. Again, someone in my kingdom sent out this mail. Super, super, super helpful. Now, as I said, I'm going to be swapping for Ragnar Prime and for Arthur. That may not be the best swap for you. There are different options. My marches, I am planning on having 5 marches that are the current 5 march meta. If you run 6 marches or 7 marches, you may do different swaps than I will. If you are swapping, you want to have at least 1 meta march. The meta marches that I see today is not what is on here. I see the meta marches today as being what I am planning on running. So if we go over here, here's my current setup. We have Ho Chi Bing with William Wallace with Luce, Guan with Scipio, Zug with Herman, and Nevsky Joan. By swapping for Ragnar and by swapping for Arthur, I am bolstering my existing setup. I'm going to put Arthur with Ho Chi Bing, I'm going to bench Guan, and I'm going to put Ragnar there. That should give me the current meta setup. For 95% of players, that's what you want. You want to have Ho Chi Bing Arthur, you want to have William Wallace Luce, you want to have Ragnar Scipio, you want to have Zug Herman, and you want to have Nevsky Joan. But wait, Shappy, I like Luce Alex. Fine. If you don't have William Wallace invested in yet, I'm not going to tell you to invest in him. He's worked out great for me. He's gotten significantly better trades than Luce Alex, and in my simulator testing, he was one of the only marches that could beat Ho Chi Bing Arthur. But if you want to stick with Luce Alex and you don't have an extra swap, go for it. I'm not going to tell you not to. There are situations where that march does perform better, and it's a cheaper investment because you probably already have Alex maxed. So you can do that too. It's not my preference, but it's up to you, and I support you. So the other swap I've heard a lot of people talking about is Philip. And I was in Chiskel's stream last night. We were going through Philip. Philip is really viable for archers. He is not going to be practical really for infantry or for cavalry. It's just the nature of his skills. But Philip is not someone I would max unless you are planning on running 6 marches, which is really, really important. You probably don't need a leadership march unless you're running 6 or more marches. So keep that in mind as you go through here. Because if you're swapping for Philip and you're only running 5 marches, you are hurting your advantage in the field. You need to be running 6 to 7 marches if you are running Philip. That is my very strong opinion. The only other situation in which you might want to run Philip with less than that is if you are running 2 archer marches and you're going to run Ashurbanipal with Philip. Or you're going to run Philip with Shajar. Those are the only instances where I think running Philip in a 5-march setup is going to be advantageous for you. But you probably also want to make sure that Philip is invested in with leadership gear, which is also going to be a really expensive investment. Typically, I say 2 archer marches are not part of the 5-march meta. That's my opinion. I think Chadsky shares that opinion. That's just how I feel about this. But the reason why I say archers are going to be the best with Philip is going to be because of this skill right here. Because he gives cavalry attack, which they don't really need. That's not the best skill for them. He gives infantry defense, which is fine, but he gives archers health. And he has a march speed bonus. And archers need health in that march speed bonus, and that's why that pairing works so well. So those are some swaps you can do. Now, I've also seen a lot of people saying, I might swap for Gonzalo. You can do that. Gonzalo's a viable swap if you're going to swap for Siege. If you don't want Gonzalo, you can also just do Gaja. Gaja is also a great Siege commander to swap for. Again, I don't recommend doing this if you're not already running 5 solid marches in the field. If you run 4 marches and you have a 5th range march, you're not really helping your kingdom as much as you could be. Just my opinion. I know Lambo also shares similar opinions on this, but those are the 2 Siege commanders I would consider swapping for if you're going to do it. I wouldn't swap for Steven. Maybe you could swap for John Hunyadi, but to be honest, I would probably go with Gaja or Cordoba. So let's go ahead and make my swap. I am so excited. It has been a long time coming. I've been waiting for this moment for way too long. So let's purchase my 12 tickets. Here we are. Let's do it. Confirm. We've done it. Ragnar's maxed. Okay. And let's do our next one. This is going to be challenging. I am probably going to do Gilgamesh here. He has been completely useless since maxing him, and yeah, we'll do Gilgamesh. I think Nebu is more viable in the field than Gilgamesh these days. Let's do it, and let's go down to Arthur. And what you'll notice here is my cost is only going to be 72 tickets for Arthur. It's not going to be 12. It's not going to be 120, which is a huge advantage. Now, if you're swapping for Arthur, which you probably want to, do not trigger the trial. If you trigger the trial for Arthur, you are going to be hurting yourself. What do I mean by that? You have to wait until the trial is over to swap for him. I've seen a lot of people make this mistake where they trigger the trial for Arthur and then they make it so they can't actually swap for him, which is a huge bummer. Don't trigger the trial for Arthur. Just don't do it. It's not going to work out well for you. You're going to have to go through support to make it so you can swap for him. Just please don't. Now, my only other frustration is you do have to manually click through here 72 times to get all the tickets, which is mildly frustrating. But overall, I love this event. I think it's great value, and I'm super excited. So let's click through here. We're moving pretty quick, Shappy Squad. There we go. There's 72. And bam. For the first time in my entire Rise of Kingdoms career, have the meta marches in the field. For the first time ever. I have never, ever, ever had a meta setup in Rise of Kingdoms until today. So here we are. That's that. Now let's go over here. And let's swap you out for Ragnar. This is my 5 March setup. Obviously, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add all the armaments and stuff. This is my 5 March setup, and this is what I believe to be the current meta 5 March setup. If you guys have enjoyed, be sure to drop a like on the video. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button right over there, bottom right-hand corner, and hit the bell so you get notified when new episodes come out. Thank you all. Shappy out.